sometimes you hear these amazing stories, and actually those are the only stories that you hear, or the big stories, because that's good, that sells. That's what sells, right? Somebody says, on my 40th birthday, I woke up, I was totally overweight, I couldn't even walk up the stairs without pain, and that's when I decided I'm going to be an ultra marathon runner or something. Yeah, I mean, this is so rare, so rare.
Hi, I'm Kyla, a business coach, mentor, and I'm currently studying a degree in nutrition. I'm a mum of 2 and I live in Australia.
And I'm Emilia. I'm the author of the book It's Your Life and the founder of the fashion brand Emilia Ortmann. I'm originally from Germany but live in Dubai, and I'm a mum of 4.
In our raw and authentic episodes, we share with you all things business, motherhood, and holistic lifestyle,
as well as bringing you inspiring interviews with other entrepreneurs.
Welcome to the Mums in Biz podcast.
Welcome back to the Mums in Biz podcast. It's so great to have you again. And today it's also great that I'm back with Kyla, because I think we haven't recorded an episode together in quite a long time, actually, I've been thinking. And no, exactly. And we have just also recorded, and this is going to be the first episode with a new intro and a new outro, because so much has changed. And I don't know if you've actually noticed, so much has changed in our lives, our directions of our businesses and personal side, and so many things have changed. So we had to adapt the intro and outro as well. Even our contact details have changed. So, if you want to connect with us, go to the Instagram page of the Mums in Biz podcast. That's what it's called. Or check the description of every episode. We have our Facebook, personal Facebooks, Instagram, websites, LinkedIn, everything is on there. So you can connect with us through there. And today's episodes is going to be about a relevant topic that Kyla is learning in her studies at the moment. Kyla has been studying for a while now, and I always like to hear what she is learning and what she's up to. So that's something we've just been talking about, and we thought it would actually be really good to share with you. So it's about habits, and especially for your health behavior, because obviously Kyla is doing a degree in health. So that's what we want to talk about, why some people can change habits in an instant, and for others it's so difficult to change and they need proper planning and mapping it out and so on. So Kyla, give us the professional view and insights on that. I know you used some professional terms before with me, so share that with everybody.
Well, not really, because I thought that it would be interesting because I was just learning, this stuff we know anyway, and we've talked about it on the podcast before, but I think that what we talk about on the podcast is very much like a structure of like, okay, you want to change your habit. This is what you need to do. Yeah. Give it 21 days and then it's all changed. But like when I was listening to the lecture today, there are so many things that like we probably don't consider as much because we are so used to creating habits as a normality of our life, but that has been trained over years and years and years. But when we're talking about just like the normal person out there every day, changing health habits or routine or whatever they're doing, it's really difficult. And I think we were talking about before that a lot of it is based on like their self-belief, like their beliefs and their values and how they've been brought up. And then that influences obviously how they're going to look after themselves in their health, what they're going to do. So it was quite interesting because, when I don't know about you, but when you sort of grow up, the values and the beliefs of how you should be looking after yourself is directly, I think, influenced by the people who you surround yourself with. So like my parents and my grandparents, we all now live a certain lifestyle because of that. But there are loads of people in the world who don't have that, who maybe come from like, poor socioeconomic areas maybe, who don't have that stability of family around them. So they haven't learned it. So what we take for granted as far as that's just quote unquote like normal is super difficult, I think, for like other people and changing habits. So like you and I were just talking before about, just people going, well, okay, well, if you want to run that 5K, well, go do it.
Just start
like,
with
just
1K.
go do it. What's the problem? Like, just make a plan. Just start. But there's like a lot of people, and I was learning today that there's actually a process that they call it of trans theoretical model where basically it takes these 5 stages of, basically developing that habit. And a lot of people need this, like 99.9% of the people need it, because I think it's a very small percentage who can actually get up and literally say tomorrow, look, I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to start running 5Ks. I'm going to cut out all sugar, because they are major life changes. So, they are very hard for like a lot of people, a lot of the population, and probably for some of the listeners who are listening today as well, thinking about changing, just the smallest of things that they do. It's hard. It's hard.
And to be fair, even when we say, just go and run the 1K and start, it is something that, we haven't been like sitting on the couch all our life. We've been active all the time. So for us, even if like I don't run for 3 years, one day I am going to wake up and say, okay, I'm going to start running again. And so it's easier, I think, to like creating a habit out of like a new habit that comes out of a background of similar things, similar values and habits. So I talked about that in my book as well. So for example, I quit eating meat over a year ago, 18 months ago already. Or not only meat, I became a vegan. But for me, that was, yes, it was a one day, like I watched a specific movie and that made me change overnight. Yes. But saying that, I've never eaten a lot of meat or animal products. So for me, that was actually an easy change. The decision, yes, came overnight, but it was a slow, gradual process where I never really liked meat, for example. And then the bigger changes were maybe things like honey.
As well,
so that was a bigger change. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that overall, I have lived sort of that lifestyle for a long time. So it didn't come out of nothing. And I think that is what sometimes you hear these amazing stories. And actually, those are the only stories that you hear, or the big stories, because that's good, that sells. That's what sells, right? Somebody says, on my 40th birthday, I woke up, I was totally overweight, I couldn't even walk up the stairs without pain. And that's when I decided I'm going to be an ultra marathon runner or something. Yeah. I mean,
and how
this is
overwhelming
so
is that?
rare.
That is like rare. Super overwhelming for somebody reading it and them not even be able to change like a small habit, let alone listening and like reading those things about changing like a monumental thing, like getting up and running a marathon. Yeah. So, and then the other thing also was like, I think I was talking about the belief, which is like the self-efficacy, which is like the internal belief that you have to be able to change that habit. A lot of people don't have. So like they have to have that belief that they can actually do it to actually be successful in it. So there has to be that belief factor there. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to like people don't change, or they might change for like a week or two and then be like, I can't do this anymore. This is just too hard. This is not for me. This is not working. So it's got to come from somewhere deeper, and it's hard for people to like grab onto that as well. And then I think a lot of like, I was learning also today that there's a lot of like social determinants also that have like an impact on whether people can like change habits, and how that impacts, habitual, habit making basically. Because sometimes like I was just talking about before, like maybe the social context of their life, of like where they live, the proximity to like maybe they live in the country, so like the proximity to good health care or the gym, or is like too far away, and then they have no idea, because they're not educated even on like maybe what they can do themselves within their own environment. Does that make sense? Like how important like even just like a 30-minute walk is for somebody's health. Like the education piece is just not out there. And then the access to that is not there for some people. The money is not there for a lot of people as well, because it's funny, because I probably wouldn't have thought about this much not having come back to, Australia and back into it, because I've been traveling so much for the past 20 years. You don't think about it. And now I'm looking at sort of all the different cultures, who live here in Australia, and, who not just live in the cities either, who do live like remote out in the countries, who don't have access to things that we have access to, in the city. And the different types of healthcare and private cover and government cover, and it's super interesting. But creating that habit is very hard for a lot of people. And what I was learning today is obviously those 5 steps. I think we were talking about it before we hit play. Was those 5 sort of stages that people can go to when they're wanting to create change. And the first one is that pre-contemplation of actually making that change in that habit. So it's that time that you're sitting there, and maybe you're sitting on the lounge and you're thinking, oh, I might start running tomorrow, or I might cut out sugar tomorrow. I wonder what that would be like that sort of daydreaming stage. And we all go through it, especially if we're wanting to change something. And then there's that true, okay, now I'm contemplating it. I'm really serious. Stage 2, I'm really thinking about this. How am I even going to do it? Can I do it? Which is obviously that self-efficacy, that belief stage, which you sit in, like a lot of people sit in it for ages, months even. And then the one, I think stage 3 is the most favorite stage of all, because it's like the preparation stage. It's that I'm going to buy the new Nikes. I'm going to buy the running outfit. I'm going to go to Lululemon and buy myself like a sick pair of leggings, you know what I mean? Or I'm going to buy the cycling cleats that look really cool because they're like electric orange and they look cool when you're cycling. You know what I mean? Like the preparation, I don't know about you, but the preparation stage
because
is like
you're not actually doing it yet, but you see yourself doing it, and you see yourself looking like really fit and healthy in those sleek leggings.
And it's fun, right? And I think that and people usually, I don't know what the percentage is, I should look that up before I hit pause, but remember hit play, but it's usually that stage that people get stuck in, because they're like, I've prepared for it now. I bought the cool stuff, because the next stage, which is stage 4, is the action stage. Like you've actually got to get out there and actually do
But the preparation phase, does it not include...
And preparing how to do it? Yeah, it does. Yeah. Okay. You should be writing like, today I'm going to, and I think people go, because they get up and they go, I'm going to run 5Ks this morning. Well, no, like let's start off like you said before. Let's start off with 1K and do a little jog, and then start off with 2Ks, because that's just sets on overwhelm at the end of the day. And you then have run 5Ks and you can't feel your legs the next morning, and you're like, well, I can't do this anymore. So then you're reverting back to the mindset of I can't, and sort of igniting that whole self-belief that it's too hard and I can't do it.
So what do you do then? I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. That is the thing. How do you actually then stick to it? I mean, like this getting up early in the morning too. When you have kids, the best way, like what for me at least, and for many people, I mean, that's why this 5 a.m. club exists and so on, is getting up before everybody else and finishing that workout or whatever you want to do with your meditation before everybody else gets up. But the thing is, I know a lot of people, and I have some friends who tried it. Of course it is super hard. Like you do it maybe 3 days in a row, and then you're like, oh my God, again? I'm so tired. You're not there yet where you know how much good it will bring. Like doing meditation or yoga every morning.
Yeah.
You haven't reached the stage yet where your body, like my body is craving it. My body really needs it to do it. So that's why I get up. Because I know if I don't get up, my day, my body's going to ache, for example.
See, the thing is, it's interesting that you say that, because like I'm not a morning person. Like, yes, I used to get up quite early, especially because when Mackenzie was little, she used to wake me up. But now the last few years, I haven't been like a morning person. And I, like for exercise, say, apart from the weekends, because that's the only time I have is the morning. But during the week, like I'm a nighttime exercise person. Like I'm more awake in the evenings than I am like in the mornings. And I don't know, it just switched with Mackenzie for some reason. I don't know why. With Henry, I was a lot more morning. Now I'm a lot more evening. I have a lot more energy, like I study in the evening. So like what I found, and I encourage everyone to find that time of the day that works for them best, because I sometimes feel that if you're pushing against it too much, then it also can have an adverse effect. Now, having said that, there has to be some part of the day that works for you, because I don't believe that either the morning doesn't work and the evening doesn't work. Does that make sense? So like, I think you have to try both. So there's some like habits that I do in the morning that I can't be bothered in the evening, and like vice versa. I make sure that I do them like first up, like the meditation in the morning, because I'm after the gym and working out, I am too tired to like sit there, even though it's relaxing. I won't do it intentionally enough to do it in the evening. Does that make sense? So I found times of the day that suit me better, but I still believe that I think it's still going to be difficult either way. Does that make sense? I think there's still going to be things that you have to give up, and you're going to have to try it, even if you like, see, even in the evening, like I'm tired, but I still go. Does that make sense? Because now I've trained myself, and I know
but
that
you
the
are at the
evening
stage,
works
or
better
we are both
for
at the
me.
stage where we know we need it. So when you're at the stage where you don't know,
Correct.
so basically something needs to happen, right? You need to hit rock bottom. Either you have an injury. I mean, like I started yoga, for example, because I had a back injury. So either you have an injury, or you have a mental breakdown, or you cannot walk up the stairs anymore without pain or whatever it is. But you need to have there needs to be some sort of pivotal moment in your life in order to really
there's research
start,
out there that people need that smack in the face of something actually happening to change a habit and to implement. But like we encourage people like not to wait to that stage. You know, like you don't want to be getting the bad news, or be diagnosed with something before you're changing the habit. So yes, I think that if you've never created habits before, and you've never introduced something like exercising or anything, it's going to be hard, and you're going to have to just pick a time, and you're going to have to stick to it for a long time. And I think we've talked about this before, that 21 days is not enough. It's not enough. They're actually saying it's up to 90 days now, up to nearly 3 months to actually change that habit. And then after then, if it's still not working, then try different time.
And you were mentioning earlier that if you live, like for example, really remote in Australia or somewhere else, and you don't have the people or the surroundings surrounding you, you need, I mean, again, accountability, but you need to find one person who will do it with you. Yeah, a support person.
Yeah,
and actually, I think it's quite good if you pay for things, because that makes you go all the time. I know, but it's actually, I'm thinking about a friend I have who's been talking about, exercising more for many, many years and is never doing it. And he knows that he needs to find a group. He knows that, but then it's still, and he knows that he's using excuses. He says it's in Germany, it's so cold, it's dark, it's now with COVID it's so difficult. But the thing is, it's not, it's actually not when you really have somebody else. Like there must be still, I mean, I don't know, I'm not in Germany, for example, but there must be still running groups that you can go and pay for. Well, maybe not, but maybe smaller, or I don't know. But it is then going out and looking for something, and there is something. And now with the internet, it's so easy to find things. So if you go and look, but that's the thing. He needs to go and sit down and look for the thing and then commit. And he knows he's not doing it, and he knows it's an excuse. Still, he's not doing it. And he knows he needs it. It's like a vicious circle.
And why, or how does he know that he needs it?
No, he feels himself that he needs it. His body needs more exercise. COVID is dragging him down, so he needs the endorphins flowing. He knows all that. Yeah.
So it's a mental...
And still he's not doing
mental stimulation. Yeah. And then I think it's important to like really being clear on... I also don't think that it's good to do something that you like have no interest in. Like, because everyone runs, it doesn't mean that you need to run. Does that make sense? Or like, just because everyone rides a bike or does a triathlon,
yoga,
or like your next door
everybody's into
neighbor's
yoga now.
weightlifting, it doesn't mean yoga, everyone's into yoga. I'll be really controversial here. Actually, when I went to my osteopath the other week, he told me yoga is like the worst thing you can do for your body, because it doesn't align you, right? He sees loads of yoga instructors. He actually used to be the osteopath for the Australian cycle team here in Australia. But what it does for you on other beneficial levels, such as, relaxation, the mindset, yes, stretching is different. But from him, because he's looking obviously at the body structure, it's not great, right? So like he said to me, do it because it's giving you endorphins, is it making you feel good from a mindset point of view? But I just have to go back to him maybe for a realignment every 3 months. You know what I mean? So, but he says the same about running. He says that, everything in moderation as well. But find something that you actually enjoy doing, because there's nothing worse than getting up and thinking, I need to go for this 5K run, and you really can't be bothered. But it's the same, changing little healthy habits. We talk about changing our health, and our habits all the time. It's hard, but I think one step at a time.
So later on, when you have your degree, also, what is it exactly that you will do then with this, for example? Let's say that basically you will have a person come to you, say, I feel so bad, I feel so like demotivated all the time, I have no energy, I know I need to lose weight, I know I need to quit smoking, but I don't know how. So that's the kind of people that will come to you?
I want to focus on more like people with autoimmune, because I have autoimmune. So they will come to me going, I feel like rubbish, I have no energy, I'm lethargic, because that's how I used to feel. And, usually it's triggered by stress. A lot of like autoimmune disease is triggered by stress. A lot of disease in the body these days is triggered by stress. And it could be like very... it's like an undercurrent of stress, not like, oh my gosh, running around, I'm so stressed out. It could be just like little things like within your body that could, like, say your skin might be breaking out, you know what I mean? All along your jawline usually is hormonal stress, within your body. There could be other things going on inside your gut health, which obviously contributes to, like, I don't know about you, but like Henry's tummy used to like hurt when he used to get upset, and that like it's all sort of triggered by that second brain there. So like I would fully analyze somebody's diet, look at how much movement they're doing throughout the day, what do they do to relax, what their nighttime routine is, because obviously we're fully concentrating on like how much screen time we're all having before bed now, and having that blue light constantly in your eyes is a super, affects sleep in such a massive way that there's still studies coming out about that as well. So, but little small habits like, turning off your screens, turning off your phone onto airplane mode, not looking at your screens for an hour or two before bed are just small habits. They're just small things, that people can do like right now. And yes, I would analyze what they're putting, what they're putting into their bodies, what they're exposed to every day. And I would go through all of that, and then also then breaking down a plan for them to then look at, slowly changing out of these habits. And it'll be very, very slow though, because again, like having dramatic changes is very overwhelming, and usually people don't stick to it for long periods of time. They stick to the periods of, doing things slowly. Well, it's a bit like how you were talking about yoga before, how you started doing it every single morning, slowly, and now it's like a ritual. A friend of mine in the UK, she does that also now. She told me on the Zoom the other night, we're having a chat, like she's up to 372 days or something, like doing yoga every single day. Right? She started when COVID happened, just doing like a slow flow. She follows like yoga with Adrienne, I think, on the YouTube. and just doing like a slow flow. But now if she misses it, like again, like it's just,
me too.
It's just weird. She feels weird. So, and again, she doesn't necessarily do it straight in the mornings. She sometimes does it in the evenings, like just before dinner time. So she has found her time of when she wants to do it.
So that's again where then going back to what you will do, that's again then where the coaching part will come in, right? Where you make a plan to reach a goal.
To do it.
So to make like a roadmap how to reach that goal.
And I would,
together with your client.
And it would have to do with like even like putting things into your calendar. We are very calendarized anyway, but people just don't use the calendar at all. So like doing little reminders, doing little checks, making sure that, you know, you've done X, Y, and Z for the day. And again, like not making it too overwhelming. I think we do, like I think we said at the beginning, we need to normalize that habit changing, you know, because obviously there's those great books like Atomic Habits is an amazing book, and there's these amazing books, right? But if you're just reading it and you've never changed anything, like it can be the most overwhelming.
So start with small steps. For example, to turn off your phone 2 hours or an hour even before you go to bed, and turn it on half an hour later when you wake up, not immediately. Things like that. So really like maybe leaving your phone outside of your bedroom. And then one thing that I think is so important as well is your surroundings. So the people who you surround yourself with. So when you mentioned that you might not have the right surroundings, what I think everybody should be aware of that, for example, okay, so you might not have the people surrounding you, but the internet is endless. So you surround yourself with the right people online. And the thing is, I found what I was thinking of. I found I watched a Netflix documentary about Facebook, and I cannot remember the name, but it was really good, and a lot of people watched it. Do you remember? It was. I think so. Yeah. I mean, I watched it during COVID, and the thing is, the impact of Facebook and how Facebook and social media in general and the internet in general shows you only what you are looking for anyway. So that's how like elections are being influenced and so on. So if you type in healthy breakfast options twice, you will suddenly see more healthy breakfast options on your feed and on your internet browsing, everywhere. So that's how it starts, because the more you look for it, the more you're surrounded by it. And not only with the people around you, but also on the internet. Which I think is incredible, and which I think is that we all need to make ourselves aware. If we keep on looking for movies on the internet, we are only surrounded by movies. We're not surrounded by healthy eating or yoga options, and we don't know where to start. But as soon as you see it over and over, I mean, you need to see something like, I'm totally jumping. But about marketing, for example, when you market something to your potential customers, they need to see it about 17 times now until they actually buy. So it's the same with yourself. You need to see something like the healthy breakfast bowl 17 times, and then you might actually go and try it yourself. And then you might meet somebody by coincidence and say, and who's talking about healthy breakfast options. That's when you're like, I've heard about it. I've seen that before, right? It's like when you're pregnant and suddenly you're surrounded by pregnant people, because that's what you see. That's what your subconscious mind sees, the only thing. So suddenly, maybe that person has always talked to you about a healthy breakfast, but you never listened. Now, suddenly, you might listen because you have seen it so much online. It's an example. Yeah. So if you want to create a habit, look for people and for things doing it at the moment, and how you can surround yourself more by those habits or by those whatever you want to do. I hope that that's correct in your medical terms.
Because I was like thinking about it just then, and like keeping it like really like simple as well, just really simple. Like, and even if you just like follow one person or do one, you know what I mean? Just keep it really simple. I think, because I was just thinking about the internet just then, when you're bombarded with all that like redirecting marketing, you know, in your face all the time on Instagram, you do, that's when the overwhelm can happen as well. Just like follow somebody or look at somebody. If you like somebody, just, follow, something, like you said about the breakfast bowl. If you like somebody who's making it a particular way, then just follow that for a while, instead of just like one day this, one day that, one day this, one day that, because then you want it really as simple as possible.
Otherwise you overwhelm yourself again, and then nothing is going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. No. And surround yourself, and also doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to cost you anything really at the end of the day if you want to change those healthy habits. We've spoken about that as well. So it's just, popping your shoes on and going for a walk. It's freezing here.
It's freezing in my room because the AC is on. I'm
already,
shivering here. You can't see it because of, if you're on, the visual things, you see my nice background, which is my dream office. But actually I'm sitting at my desk, my small desk, and the AC is on. and it's freezing.
Putting a jumper on, whereas I'm like doing this in front of the camera to try and get some light.
Okay.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Okay. Whereas it is
one last thing that that I
but that's interesting. Yeah.
I was reminded of recently as well is that if you want to achieve something, think about one small thing that you can do every single day. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be small, but for example, write down, an affirmation every day, or eat like an apple every day. What is one small thing that is not going to cost you a lot of money or time that you can easily implement? And that's a good starting point, that you can easily implement, and then preferably schedule it in.
And if you are changing those monumental big habits like smoking, like those sort of, then 100% outside help, 1000%. Those sorts of habits are huge. You have to have support, and there are so many support, networks for those sorts of things now. So you have to have support in those bigger habit changes, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And
for sure. But I thought it would be good to normalise things of how it does take a long time, right? Because I think where everyone's so flippant in saying, change your habit today, and it's just not that easy. But it can be done. It's just, let's just normalise it that it will take time. But you've got to have the commitment and the staying power, the support group. And
so maybe this episode should bring to you as a listener to think about what is the habit that you want to change, and maybe think about one thing you can do today. So for example, reach out to a support group, or one thing that you can think about, one thing that you can do every day, and don't put too much pressure on yourself, but actually take this as the pivotal point, even if it's not hitting rock bottom, to start in a slow way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyla, for sharing this little bit of your studies and where you're going. Interesting. I can't wait until you're actually practicing. And super exciting.
Yes, it'll be exciting.
And now, go and listen to our new outro. It has only changed a little bit, but
I don't see. And we've simplified things even on the intro and outro, I reckon. Yeah, I like it. Yep.
See you next time.
And then we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Alrighty, bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Mums in Biz podcast.
If you loved it, please share it with your network and leave us a review.
If you would like to connect with us, please visit the Mums in Biz podcast Instagram page, or check the description for our direct contact.
Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.